everyone, and welcome to the Sania Farooqui Show. Joining us today, we have two amazing women. Anila Noor, she is a representative and has worked with different global and regional refugee-led organizations and initiatives such as New Women Connectors, the Global Refugee-led Network, and Global Independent Refugee Women Leaders. She has collaborated on reports and served on panels, including at the Refugee Studies Center at Oxford University and the Global Academic Interdisciplinary Network. She has performed advisory roles for the European Commission and the UNHCR. Thank you so much, Anila. It's truly wonderful to have you on the Sania Farooqui Show and to speak to you again after quite some time now.
Thank you, Sania, for inviting. It's such a pleasure and a very important moment to share our views.
Absolutely. And our second panelist today is Ekram Jalboutt. She is a Palestinian born in Syria. She has been labeled as stateless in the Netherlands and is currently living in Amsterdam. She previously worked as an eligibility officer for refugee status determination at UNHCR Damascus office and a writer for Politiken. Currently, she works as a volunteer at NWC. Thank you so much, Ekram, as always, to come on the Sania Farooqui Show and take your time out to have this very important discussion with us today.
Thank you, dear, for giving us this opportunity and the floor to talk about this disaster and being very picky with those who are giving you the floor. Thank you so much for bringing us here.
Thank you. So as you know, we've seen what's been happening for the past couple of days. As of now, more than 21,000 people are now known to have died in Monday's earthquake in Turkey and Syria, and the number simply continues to keep increasing. As we speak, the World Health Organization estimates up to 23 million people could be affected by the earthquake across both countries. Tens of thousands of people have spent freezing fortnight in makeshift shelters after losing their loved ones, homes, family members, and so much more. What we're seeing is a buildup of a very obvious secondary disaster, which could cause harm to more people than the initial disaster itself. Both Anila and Ekram have worked extensively on humanitarian crisis, and especially in Syria. Ekram, I'm going to start with you. You are from Syria. You worked at UNHCR. From your experience in the region, tell us what is the extent of devastation from these multiple earthquakes and aftershocks, which has already left so many dead, thousands homeless. The rescue efforts are still going on. We don't know how many are going to make it, because now we're seeing reports where they are saying that, the noises that were coming earlier have stopped coming from under the rubble because people are not making it through, because it's been almost 4 days now. So tell us a little about the region and about what is happening on the ground right now.
Thank you so much, dear. First of all, I have to explain for people, it's not very clear how it's Syria is divided right now. It is there is the other part of Syria, which is Idlib and parts of Aleppo, and there is the part which this part is liberated from the Syrian regime, let's say, and we have the part which is still under the Assad regime's control, which is Latakia, Hama, and parts of Aleppo. So those both parties, both parts from the north and from Syria itself, they are living in poverty and destitution since years, because those people and those small organizations which is working there, small initiatives there, they have been working for years and years to rescue people when the areas were shelled and bombed by Russia and Assad and other parties, let's say, and USA. So the areas are already destroyed, and people are living in poverty and destitution. They don't have their urgent needs. They don't have the basic resources for living. And they are living already with no fuel, no electricity, no medical aid, no medicines, and the hospitals are not working properly as it should be. So you can imagine the situation, and above of this, earthquake. So the situation is horrible. People are being under the rubble for 5 days so far, and the aid and the support and the troops from all over the world are not able to reach that area. So both parts in Syria are still suffering, and they don't have any essential needs or equipment to be able to rescue those trapped people under the rubble.
No, just talking about the efforts to help those in these regions of Syria that has been, as you mentioned, very difficult and challenging, particularly due to, as per reports that we are seeing, the passage entries across the borders that have been destroyed or are shut down or not being opened yet. But we're also talking about a region that has already been in years of conflict and an acute humanitarian crisis. So tell us, how do these earthquakes makes the region which is already suffer more now, including medical camps, access to medical camps, aid shelters, and access to just basic needs?
The area has already had around like more than 4 million IDPs, Syrians, which were relocated during the war to Idlib, to the north part of Syria. So the area has around 4 million IDP there. And even the parts of the Turkey, which was also like very affected, let's say, it also has Syrian refugees in there. So these areas are already destroyed and already suffering, and they don't have anything to help them to get up of this whole disaster and catastrophe. So, and the area was like a couple of days ago, before the earthquake, were bombed and shelled by Russian troops. I'm sorry, like I'm getting very emotional when talking about this topic. And but as I said before, like people are suffering until now, and they don't have like any aids, like which has been there, or any medical support or medical teams or equipment to be able to help those injured ones or the affected families there. And as you say, like the land border between Turkey and Syria is still closed, and they are not able to reach there even illegally, if we can say that. Yeah, I'm just like getting, and then the infrastructure, you can imagine that the infrastructure in that area is already destroyed, and it really can't handle this catastrophe. So this is like an add up, and the earthquake was just an add up for the disaster and for a miserable situation in there.
Anila, coming to you, you've worked extensively on humanitarian crisis in terms of policies and pushing the challenges forward, accountability, and much more. What do you think is the biggest worry, especially now when we are talking about the secondary disaster, which is catastrophic in itself?
Yeah, no, yes, indeed, it's a very much worry for us as an actor who is advocating in the policy for the systematic change and for the inclusion and equality and accountability. This is a really a worry element for us, because we see how this world has a habit of place crisis then other crises and replace the crisis with new crisis. So we are worried. Everyone is opening, which is very good. On the other side, everyone is caring, they are opening their doors, they are giving the donation and trying to relieve camps. First emergency response, like collecting the clothes and everything which is needed, no doubt. But what after that? I'm worried, we are worried after 1 week, when everyone is like going to their routine lives, and they will be forget about those women, children, people, as Ikram also mentioned, they already are poor people with the limited resources. And in Syria, if we say, because in our team, in our colleagues, they are mostly from those areas, and I saw how they are broken down, because they know how already, especially in European countries, they say now Syria is safe, you can go back. And there are so few countries who already started sending them back. And when they went there, obviously everyone loves their home, and they said, okay, let's go back. But when went there, it was a disaster. It was a lie. There was nothing was safe. And as Ikram also mentioning, there was no food, there was no water, lack of huge medications, even normal medication like painkillers were not available. And if you are saying, if insulin for the emergency operations, there were no facility. And now is whatever they were there, it's gone. For us, this is the worry. I will say how we can make a track this donation being collected internationally is delivered to the right people or not. or otherwise is go to the people in their pockets, become more active in the smuggling of human traffickers, how to make sure it doesn't happen. And people who deserve, they have legal pathways, they have the option to get and to be on the safe place. Are we able and can sleep by letting people die on the roads, letting poor women, letting children die on the roads? I will be okay with that. This is our worry. I know there are so many difficulties, Turkey, because of their own political will, they close their borders. But what about the people? How we can put humanity first on the radar instead of border security? This is our worry.
And do you think international organizations, especially those who work on humanitarian issues, are doing enough to help those in need? Are they pushing enough to, get access to and to reach out to everybody who is impacted by these earthquakes? And do you think they've learned lessons from previous disasters?
Well, Sania, is a very complicated answer for me, because those all humanitarian actors, they are well aware, they are well informed, but mostly sometime because of political environment in this domain, in this region, they are also helpless. And people on the local ground who are trying to help, they are not getting enough funding or enough resources from the outside. So this is that the system is broken. There, the chain, the flow is broken in between. So how we make sure these funds, which collectively, internationally, goes transparently to the local communities, to the local response, that is missing. And for them, if I say international organization, I have been in talk with different international organization, and they were saying the same. They are feeling helpless, like they even have money, food, medicine, even very heavy equipped devices to help us to have a surgery or critical devices to supply in Syria, but they don't know how, because the access is very limited. The thing everyone is doing, they are using helicopter. There are so many international countries who they are helping, but it's like on the first hand. How we can evaluate and see how many damage we have been done, it will take so many days. And I'm afraid in those weeks, we will forget about this incident again.
Ikram, what do you think are the challenges that you have seen faced by refugees in Syria previously, and how will they be impacted now? I know many who had left Syria went to Turkey. Unfortunately, they were impacted by the earthquake in Turkey itself. Families have been destroyed. A lot of lives have been lost. But in terms of the ones who are surviving right now, moving forward, what do you think? How easy or difficult is it going to be for them? Because they're going to be restarting their lives all over again. I know this is affecting you a lot, but so please feel free to speak only if you're comfortable, and we can always come back to you with this question. I can throw this at Anila, because I know that you've both been working on refugees and in Syria for quite some time, but speak only when you're comfortable, because I don't even know how to imagine how this is affecting you right now. So only if you're comfortable, we can have this discussion.
I can handle this. Thank you so much. So regarding those refugees, so you can imagine those who have already fled the war in the death areas, let's say, and now they are facing it from like Mother Nature. So there is no one to blame, not Al-Assad regime this time, not Russia, not Putin, not anyone. So this time you have to blame only the Mother Nature. But the thing that you are still waiting for your like your peers to help. You're like the human beings. You are still waiting for their reactions to help. What I've seen here in the Netherlands, people are working so hard to collect donations, regardless, clothes, blankets, food items, non-food items. They are working so hard, and they gathered so much things. I'm very grateful for this country, which I'm living in right now. But when it comes to the ground, how we can see that these stuff are arriving to Syria. This is what I'm saying, because like this disaster has left, like for the refugees and for the IDPs themselves, they are more vulnerable. You're going to witness like in the coming weeks and months, you're going to witness unaccompanied children, separated children, women at risk, elderly at risk, disabilities, homeless people, and more vulnerabilities. So how are we going to tackle these issues? How are we going to tackle all and cover all of these aspects. We want to see like international intervention. We want to see like international humanitarian agencies are working there on the spot, not blaming anyone, like not blaming Europe, not blaming the economical sanctions. We just need like to shout out for the international community and for all European countries, for all those who are thinking that that they are not able to reach Syria with the aid. No, but they have a voice, let's say. They can talk about the economical sanctions that hinder the assistance to arrive to Syria. They can talk about the children who have been suffering since the war, and now there is this earthquake. They are unaccompanied. We're going to witness so much disasters. It's not about the earthquake itself, but it's about the consequences and the results by the earthquake in the coming months. So I'm really reaching out for all people who are hearing or who are watching us right now. If you have a voice, it's enough. If you have like €1 or whatever it takes, like just do it. Just like go and test your humanity in this disaster.
Anila, what do you think urgently needs to be done, keeping in mind everything that refugees or those affected by war in these regions need in terms of rehabilitation, support, and also what needs to be done urgently by international organizations who are working on this? And as she said, donation of money, even a smallest amount matters. But what do you think? What would your suggestions and urgent concerns be right now?
Yeah, I think the thing is, it's really needed how we can open our heart, our borders, to help those peoples, because recent crisis of Ukraine give us so much hope when it's come to refugee response. If we are willing, we can change. We can change the policy. We can open our doors. We can open our borders. We can make flexible asylum procedure. So I think we have learned a lot, and we can follow that practice towards Syrian and Turkey's disaster, especially from Syria. And we make how we can help these people. And emergency response is first thing, but how we can help them continuously to make an ecosystem of the help to the sport, and to make track is very important. How we can make accountability and transparency where this money going and where is they are helping, and the local efforts, the local people, the local NGOs, the local small initiative who helped and always helping on the ground. They are the first who are there to support them. Instead of giving the money here and there, big names, no. Try to trust them. I know there's a trust is a big issue right now whenever we are talking about Syria, but trust me, people are dying because of that. We really need to open up rethink our approach when we are trying to help in people in Syria. They are human beings. They are human beings, and how we can help them and we can provide them. And I will say sometime when this kind of disaster happens, we think, oh, it's happening in Syria, it's happened in Turkey, it happened in Afghanistan, it happened in Iran or Iraq, and we say we are in a safe countries and it's not affect us, but it does. If I tell you, last night when I came and my children, they were saying, oh, there was my friend, his grandfather is looking for a home in Syria, he's homeless, and my daughter said, oh, my friend's uncle, they were in the hospital because they were having our first baby and they all died. It seems like they are distant, but how impacted to my own children who are living in Netherlands, who have nothing direct connection with Syria, but impacted them. They were so sad. And you can imagine this kind of impact stays to all it's like, after effects will stay from the years and years if we are not helping them. We are destroying our generation. We are letting minimize the hope, which we should have more and more after COVID, after Ukraine crisis and this crisis. There will be more and more crises. You never know.
Yeah.
And with climate change, I always say climate change is a big ticking bomb. We don't know who will become a refugee next. So that's why how we can make a ecosystem, how we can make a flow in the system, how we can involve people who know what's going on in the reality, and how we can start sharing power of resources, power of decision, and how we can be on the table when this discussion are being made, when this decision are being made, because it's impact the community and we are the community.
Yeah. Ekram, would you like to add anything to that?
I really would love like to reach out again to people and like urge them to rethink about it every day, because it's not a spark that's going to be happening right now and then it's going to disappear and we're going to lose the sympathy and the empathy in the globe. So I would like to ask people to try whatever it takes, like to help and to reach out and to donate and to tell their friends and to explain the situation. And I'm sorry for speaking about Syria only. I'm not able like I wasn't able to talk a lot about Turkey, but I know like Turkey is a big country, rich country. They are able to overcome this situation. But at Syria, it's like I've told you the situation, how miserable it is. So that's what I'm saying. Like Syria is still under the economical sanctions from US, and they are not able to do anything or to practice any of their rights to be alive in the country. So please consider any pathways for those people who are trapped there, for those people who are suffering, for the children who are left unaccompanied or separated, or for the medical conditions that we're gonna face in the coming weeks. Consider any pathways and consider like adoption for those children, or any kind of like scenarios that can help them. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. On that note, all I want to say is, truly grateful that you were both able to take your time out and join us. I know how difficult and I know how busy time this is for everybody who are working on any kind of humanitarian efforts towards those who are impacted by the earthquake. So truly appreciate. And please do stay safe, and hope your relatives and your family members also continue to stay safe. And we will definitely be in touch, even after this interview is done. But truly, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sania.
Thank you, Sania.
And for those of you who've tuned in, thank you so much for watching. I hope you will subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Spotify. As mentioned earlier, this is a special edition coverage of the Syria-Turkey earthquake. So do stay tuned and do watch our following episodes as we continue to bring in voices of people who are impacted and who are working on saving lives through this very difficult period in that region. So thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more.